What's up, YouTube? So in this video, we're going to look at the Paul Ricard circuit, and we're going to assess what we're doing on average and compare that to our best sections of each lap. And looking at them side by side gives us clear indications of how we can improve. And so this is really just for self-learning, but I hope you also take something away from it. So let's just jump straight into it. On the left-hand side, this is the average lap. On the right-hand side, this is the theoretical best. And what it means is, in the session that I've just had, which was 10 laps on this track, out of those 10 laps, for each section, what was the best time? And now we can see it side by side. Where's the car positioned? When do we brake? When do we accelerate? When do we start steering, etc.? And so this will give us what we need to think about when we take it to the track the next time. Okay, on the charts below, anything that you see in blue is the median lap, our average lap, and orange is our theoretical best. So let's watch this in 1x speed. Okay, at this point, same speeds, same position on track, and let's pause at the braking point. So in our base lap, the braking point that worked out best is actually just before this 100-meter board. However, on average, I'm braking at the 100-meter board, like a meter in front of it, before it. And so what this is telling me is braking a little bit later, sooner, is actually more beneficial. So the braking point is just before the 100-meter board. And as you can see by the braking shape, this is how we brake. It's not an instant 0 to 100. It's a slow progression. Let's take it back so you can see it. Okay, and we start to steer in at about the 50-meter board, as you can see. Just a slight steer. This is what the trail braking shape looks like. And now we start to really turn in. So these shapes need to look quite similar to maximize grip. You don't want to be braking hard and turning in hard. So it needs to be almost like an opposite effect. All right. Here, let's get to the apex and set an anchor and assess the exit of this corner. So as you can see, we are accelerating a lot faster in our theoretical best compared to our most average lap. And this is just about the dynamics of cornering and the different inputs that we can give the simulation or the simulator. Because we've braked sooner, we are entering that corner with less speed. But because we're entering that corner with less speed, we're able to rotate the car more. Let's go back a little bit. And what I want to show you is the position of the car exiting the corner. In the theoretical best, the car is positioned in the middle, but on average, I'm actually on the right. So getting that track position advantage by having a slower first corner actually means that we can exit much faster. And with the long straight that is after this corner, that's where we see the advantage in terms of time. Okay, so let's skip ahead here. So at this point, just with those changes alone, we can already gain 0.2, we call it 0.1 seconds. So a tenth, we can get a tenth. Approaching this corner, what ends up happening is the most average lap that I had was actually the best for this corner. I actually got the fastest time in this corner on my most average lap. So you won't see any variations here, but let's walk through it. We start braking at the 100-meter board. Let's go back here. This is exactly where we start braking, which is on the 100-meter board. Okay, so we start braking at the 100-meter board about halfway through. So at the 75 meters, at the 75-meter mark, that's where we add 100% brake. And at about the 50-meter board, we start releasing the brakes and turning in. And the more we release the brakes, the more we turn in. And I'm already accelerating. So where do I apply the accelerator? It is actually just before I touch that apex. That gives me a nice strong exit to the next apex. I'm off of the accelerator. Where am I? So I'm off of the accelerator at about, as I roughly get to the middle of the track, and apply the brakes. And slowly release and turn in. Okay. I start approaching the outside. I'm starting to turn towards the outside. This might not be the best way to do it. You might be able to cut this corner a little bit more, but hard braking is roughly where you see that orange container at the edge of your frame. Start braking there and turning in. And accelerate as soon as you touch that apex. Full on the accelerator, shift gears, jump off of the accelerator, turn in, get the rotation, and back on the accelerator. And just by doing it like this, I've now gained 3/10 in this lap. And this corner exit is exceptionally important to get it right, because you've got this long straight, and the difference in speed by the end of the straight is very important. You can see 280, 280. Okay, we much over muchness here. Let's go back a little bit. Okay, so in this example, much over muchness, we're at about the same speed in this case, but typically that's something just to look out for. Okay, let's go back here, set the anchor, and in both cases we're braking at approximately just before, like 2-3 meters just before the 100-meter board, and very light on the brakes as well. Let's just go slower. Very light on the brakes. We at the 50-meter board, we're almost completely off of the brakes already and turning in. So that is a very important aspect of this corner, and getting back onto the accelerator very early. So if we just go back a little bit, as you can see in my theoretical best, I'm already accelerating here, but it's very light. I'm accelerating, but it's very light. And as we go through this corner, it's just about managing that throttle and steering input so that you don't spin out. So for this corner, in both cases, very similar positioning on track, keeping to the left, pointing towards the apex, and applying the brakes maybe 5-10 meters in front of this last striped curb. slowly releasing the brakes and turning in, catching the grip and sticking to the outside. And as you can see, I start applying the accelerator right about here. Okay, so it's very early, but again, this is to manage speed. So I think what happened here is I actually went a little bit too hard on the brakes, and therefore I didn't have enough speed going around this corner. So just adding a little blip of throttle, and I felt that I actually could keep going with that amount of throttle and not lose grip. So that's what happened in this case. And we go through the corner, full acceleration, upshift, and align the steering for the next corner. So for this corner, let's go here, set the anchor. We're jumping off of the accelerator at about, to show you this marker over here. It's the second one from the end. So if you jump off the acceleration at this point and then jump onto the brakes just past it, that's normally where I brake. And it's a very light curve, as you can see. I'm not peaking the brakes to 100%. We're at about 75% and trail braking out of that, sticking to the outside and then slowly turning in and then getting onto the accelerator before we hit the apex of the corner. It gives us a very strong exit. And with this particular track, the setup is very aerodynamic in that I'm optimizing for straight line speed. Those long straights, there's a lot of long straights or fast corners in this track. So I'm really optimizing for that long straight on this track. With that in mind, it makes taking corners at speed difficult. So I'd rather take them slower in terms of entry and get a faster exit, because as soon as you hit the accelerator, you're now getting that downward motion on the back of the car, which gives more grip to accelerate, which I'm not finding it to be too different if I'm running a different aero pack. So that's the thinking there. For this corner, it's a lot of feel, but as you can see, fast acceleration out, early acceleration drop, early on the brakes, and then early on the throttle. Okay, so there you have it. I hope that was informative. I have jumped into a second session and just run a second session of 10 laps just to compare against where we started today after the analysis, where we ended up. And the first session, our average was 157.586. And in the second session, our average was 157.449. So that is about 0.13 or 0.14 seconds. So it's about a tenth and a half, which is a good improvement. It's an improvement nonetheless in a very short span of time. The best that I got in the first session before the analysis was 157.170. And my best time in the second session after the analysis was 156.680. So significant improvement there, basically half a second. The theoretical best in the first session was 156.149. And the theoretical best in the second session is now 155.895. So also about three tenths faster. So there's always room for improvement. I think the things that I've shown you today, I've looked at the data for across all of my laps on this track, and my theoretical best is 154. If we have a look at, let's clear this. As you can see, across 37 sessions on this track, My theoretical best is 154.5. So 154 is definitely achievable. I wanted to, for this video, do a contained experiment, compare before and after, and show the types of improvements that you can do. So I hope you enjoyed. Drop a like and a comment, and see you on the next one.